Hello and welcome back to Speak More Fluently. We've got some really fascinating material you sent over, all about boosting your English vocabulary.
That's right. Specifically for intermediate learners, those of you looking to really push past that plateau and gain greater fluency.
Yeah, moving beyond those everyday words to add more color and precision. Variety, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we've been digging into the sources you shared, and they point towards a really powerful strategy, zeroing in on synonyms and antonyms.
They really can be game changers, can't they? For getting that next level of expression.
Absolutely. So our mission today in this deep dive is to sift through all this info and pull out the key stuff.
We want to give you the clearest, most practical steps you can take to add that nuance, that precision, and just more variety to your English.
Because let's face it, nobody wants to sound repetitive. It feels limiting.
Oh, totally. And what's really compelling here is that it's not just about memorizing lists.
No, not at all.
Right.
It's about how using synonyms and antonyms intentionally can make your language more engaging, more nuanced.
And it boosts comprehension, too, right, when you're reading.
Yeah.
And makes your writing much stronger.
Oh, definitely. It's not just knowing more words. It's about using the right words effectively, powerfully.
Okay, so let's kick this off. Why do synonyms and antonyms actually matter so much? What's the big deal?
Well, the first thing, the most obvious one, is just avoiding that repetition.
Right. Like, instead of saying happy 5 times.
Exactly. You could say joyful or content, maybe even elated if it fits. Instantly sounds more sophisticated.
Okay, that's the foundation. But you were saying it's more than just style.
Oh, much more. It's about precision and nuance. When you have different words for similar ideas, like your happy examples, or maybe satisfied, you can pick the exact shade of meaning.
Like having more colors to paint with?
Precisely. Your message gets clearer, more specific. It's just more compelling because you chose that word for a reason.
Okay, precision, nuance, that makes a lot of sense. Finding the perfect fit. But what about antonyms, opposites? How do they help fluency? Seems a bit backward.
But they're fantastic for clarification. When you learn a word, say ancient, and immediately contrast it with modern.
Okay.
It doesn't just teach you the opposite. It defines both words more sharply through that contrast. You see the difference, and it reinforces the core meaning.
Right. It draws the boundaries clearer.
Exactly. And let's be practical learning pairs. It basically doubles your vocabulary gain for the same effort. Pretty efficient, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Efficient learning. Now, the material also mentioned reading comprehension getting a boost. How does that work?
Well, think about it. If you know synonyms and antonyms, you have more tools to figure out unfamiliar words when you're reading.
Like context clues?
Sort of.
Yeah.
If you see a tricky word, but the sentence also uses a synonym or antonym you do know, bingo. You can often piece together the meaning.
Okay, so it helps you guess more accurately.
Exactly. It's that incidental learning, picking things up naturally as you go. It makes reading faster, smoother, less stopping and starting.
And for writing, what's the impact there?
Huge impact. Varied vocabulary makes writing dynamic. Instead of just big problem, big building, big idea.
You could have a significant problem, an immense building.
A vast idea. It paints a much richer picture. Avoid sounding flat.
And antonyms in writing.
Great for contrast. Setting up arguments, contrasting an optimistic view with a pessimistic one. It makes your points really clear and distinct.
Okay, clearly vital for both understanding and speaking or writing well. So, how do we actually learn them effectively? Let's talk tools.
Right, the how-tos. A good thesaurus is definitely a starting point. It gives you options.
But you can't just grab any word.
Absolutely not. That's a common mistake.
Yeah.
You have to check the context and the register, the formality level. Use those example sentences.
Register. Like, is it okay for an email to your boss or just for chatting with friends?
Exactly that. And for more advanced stuff, look at things like the Longman Collocations Dictionary and thesaurus. It shows words that naturally go together.
Collocations like make a decision, not do a decision.
Precisely. And always, always write the new words down. Notebook app, whatever works for you. Capture them.
Non-negotiable, writing them down. Okay, what about practice techniques? Flashcards must be in there.
Oh yeah, flashcards. Old school or digital, like Anki apps using spaced repetition. They're classics because they work for recall.
So word on one side?
Yep. Target word like temperate. On the other side, synonyms, mild, moderate, antonyms, harsh, extreme.
And that spaced repetition thing helps you remember long term.
It does. It prompts you just when you're about to forget. But here's a tip. Add a short example sentence to the card too.
Oh, why is that?
It embeds the usage, helps you know how to use the word, not just its definition. Context is everything.
Makes sense. The material also mentioned writing sentences yourself.
Crucial. Writing sentences forces you to use the word. You learn its grammar, its feel. If you learned substantial, right, they made a substantial contribution.
And you might realize it doesn't fit everywhere.
Exactly. Maybe a substantial argument sounds okay, but a substantial disagreement. Maybe significant is better there. You discover those nuances.
Comparative sentences, too.
Yeah, like, while the progress was significant, the final cost was substantial. It shows how related words work differently. It's active usage, not just recognition.
Okay, writing practice. Got it. Feels a bit like homework, but I see the payoff. What about word games? Do they actually help?
Oh, definitely. Don't underestimate games. Scrabble, crosswords, vocabulary apps. They force quick recall.
Under pressure a bit.
Yeah, fun pressure. You have to find the right word, connect things. It makes learning active, engaging. Even simple classroom games like Synonym Bingo work wonders.
Yeah.
It takes the study pressure off.
Turns it into play. I like that. And just reading more, does that cut it?
Active reading does. Don't just let the words wash over you when you read different stuff, news, novels, articles. You see words in different contexts, different registers.
So notice new words.
Yes. Try to guess the meaning from context. Look for nearby synonyms or antonyms the author might have used. Jot down interesting words.
It's like a reading journal.
Perfect. List the word where you saw it. Then look up its synonyms, antonyms later. It's slower maybe, but seeing words used naturally. Invaluable over time.
Okay, we know why, we know the methods, but the real trick is using them, right? Making them part of your active vocabulary. What exercises really work for that?
Right, putting it into action. A great start is making targeted lists from words you use a lot.
Like my personal crutch words.
Exactly. Think common ones. Important, complex, good, big, get, say. Take important. Brainstorm or look up synonyms. Significant, essential, crucial, vital.
And antonyms. Trivial. Insignificant.
Negligible. Do the same for complex. Complicated, intricate, elaborate versus simple, straightforward.
What about a verb like get? That's everywhere.
Verbs are great. For get, synonyms depend on context. Obtain, receive, acquire, understand, become. Antonyms might be give, leave, miss.
So build lists for my own common words.
Yes. Keep them handy. Then quiz yourself. 3 synonyms for important. Go. Quick recall practice.
Okay, lists and quizzes. What about writing again?
Yes. Set writing challenges. Write a short text, 150, maybe 300 words. A journal entry, story, whatever. Aim to use, say, 5 words from your lists.
But naturally, right? Not force.
Absolutely key.
Oh.
It shouldn't sound awkward. Review it after. Did it work? Could you improve it? Getting feedback from someone else is golden here.
And speaking, that's the big one for fluency.
It is. Structured practice helps. Find a language partner. Pick a topic. Maybe talk for 10 minutes. Before you start, choose 3-5 target synonym-antonym pairs.
Like if we talk about travel, maybe synonyms for interesting.
Yeah, or difficult, challenging, tricky. Antonyms for cheap, expensive, pricey. Keep them in mind as you talk. Afterward, reflect. Did you use them? Ask your partner if they sounded natural. A checklist helps focus.
That seems very targeted. I like that. The sources also mentioned using the thesaurus on existing text. How does that work?
Oh, this is a fantastic exercise for understanding word choice. Take a paragraph maybe from an article or even your own writing that uses common words.
Lots of good, bad, big.
Exactly. Now, go through with the thesaurus and replace some of those with better synonyms, maybe antonyms if it fits. See how it changes the meaning and feel, like the results were good but the effort was big.
Could become, the results were satisfactory, but the effort required was considerable.
Perfect. Or, the results were commendable, but the effort involved was substantial. See? Just changing a word or two elevates it. It forces you to think about why you're choosing that specific word, its impact.
Okay, solid practice exercises. Now the integration part. How do we weave this into everyday life so it becomes automatic? Less like studying.
Consistency, even in small ways. Daily journaling, like we mentioned, just 3 to 5 sentences. Consciously swap one common word. Good breakfast becomes excellent breakfast. Long walk becomes brisk walk. Review weekly.
Small steps. Conversation groups again.
Definitely. Set a tiny goal before you join. Use 2 target pairs tonight, makes it manageable. Get feedback if you can. Did appropriate? Sound okay there?
And this environmental label idea. Sticking notes on things.
Sounds weird, but it works. Label your chair. Chair seat, stool, fridge. Cold, chilly, freezing, window. Open a jar, closed, sealed. Constant visual cues.
Passive reinforcement.
Exactly. You see the words constantly associating them with the object. Subliminal learning.
What about media? Movies, podcasts?
Use them actively. Subtitles on. Note unfamiliar words, look up synonyms, antonyms later. Hear a good word in a podcast. Pause. Write it down. Research it. Connects learning to stuff you enjoy.
Makes it stickier. And just normal chat.
Micro challenges. In one conversation today, replace one common word. Instead of fun, try enjoyable. Instead of hard, try challenging. Tiny efforts, consistently done, retrain your brain.
Building a new habit, one word at a time.
Precisely. Over time, that richer vocabulary becomes your default.
This all sounds great, very practical. But there must be pitfalls, right? Common challenges people face.
Oh, absolutely. The biggest one is probably subtle context differences. Synonyms aren't always perfectly interchangeable.
Like childish versus youthful.
Exactly. Both relate to being young, but childish is often negative, implying immaturity, while youthful is usually positive, implying energy or appearance. Huge difference in connotation.
So how do you avoid messing that up?
Check reliable sources.
Yeah.
Look at example sentences in good dictionaries or thesauruses like Longman or Oxford. Pay attention to register, formality, connotation, positive and negative feel, and crucially, collocations words that typically go together.
Right, those natural pairings. What about just overusing a new word? Or getting antonyms wrong?
Yeah, learners sometimes get excited about a new word like gigantic and use it for everything. You still need simple words sometimes. Context dictates.
Don't use a sledgehammer to crack a nut.
Exactly. And with antonyms, be careful they're true opposites in that context. Hard versus soft isn't always the same as difficult versus easy. Always double-check the pair makes sense where you want to use it.
So diligence is key. Check, check, check.
Pretty much. It avoids those awkward or confusing moments.
Well, this has been a really thorough deep dive. It's so clear how focusing on synonyms and antonyms is about much more than just a longer word list.
Absolutely. It's about fluency, comprehension, precision, expressing yourself with real impact.
But as you said, it takes work. Consistent practice, mixing up these methods, the tools, the exercises, the daily habits.
It does. There's no magic bullet.
Yeah.
But the payoff in communication skills is definitely worth the effort.
So here's something to think about as you start putting this into practice. If our language shapes how we think, how might this deliberate focus on nuance, on finding the exact right word, not only make you a more fluent speaker, but actually sharpen your critical thinking, maybe even deepen how you understand the world itself? Something to mull over as you choose your words.